In the following role-play, we see an imagined session with this client, Peter, offering a glimpse into what happens in psychoanalytic counselling. Vic Sedlak, a psychoanalytic therapist, will be taking the role of the counsellor. He based the scenario on an amalgam of clients.
I'd got a phone call from the GP saying, could you see this man? One thing that came across was that I could tell, I think that the GP actually said that he liked this guy. And that recently appointed academic at the university had come up and had begun to get more and more depressed. And the GP thought that he didn't want to immediately prescribe antidepressants. He thought this guy was sort of struggling with some life issues. He didn't know what they were, but he thought it would be useful him meeting somebody who would take the kind of in-depth approach to him. I know a little bit about you because Dr. Barnes, your GP, spoke to me briefly, but really today I'd like to hear how you see the situation. Where would you like to start?
I don't know, really. I guess I'm slightly surprised to be here. I'm an academic, just been assigned to a post at university. I've been getting sort of more and more depressed for quite a while now. It's almost to the point where it's a struggle to even go to work is a struggle. And I just kind of always have this sense of like hopelessness and anxiety.
Tell me a little more, tell me how it began.
I guess it was like 4 years ago. I was in Peru, I was doing research out there, and my girlfriend Sarah came out to be with me. She actually came out to live with me for a while because we wanted to make a go of it. And, it was the most beautiful place in the world, really. It was where I wanted to be in my life. And it should have been the happiest time of my life. But I ruined it, really. I spoilt it, or sabotaged it, whatever you want to call it. But and I just couldn't get out of the mood that I was in, and eventually, so it became too much for Sarah, and she had to. She came back home because she couldn't handle me anymore. She couldn't stand my moods anymore, like my hopelessness, and now she's with someone else. And I'm just worried that I'm going to sabotage my job, like I've sabotaged that. Like I'm really worried that my new job's that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So one might think that there's something of a pattern, that you're in Peru, it's the place you want to be, Sarah comes out to join you. It could have been wonderful, but that's where you kind of go down. And now you've got this job, again, a new opening, an opportunity, and I can see you're worried you're going to get depressed again. Tell me something about your background, your parents. What was it like for you?
So, it's pretty normal upbringing, quite easy. Just mum, dad, younger sister, who is 3 years younger than me.
You look as though you're really caught up with something terribly sad.
nothing really. From about 12, my dad has been quite ill, and he's got wasting disease, which means he's severely, he can hardly talk anymore, and he can't walk. So he's been severely, incapacitated from it.
Thing really, and then you describe this terrible situation.
Well, we just get on with it, really. Yeah, Mum looks after Dad, and my sister hasn't left home because she wants to, look after Mum and make sure she's okay. So everyone, everyone just gets on with it.
Well, really, you're not getting on with it, are you? You've stumbled, and I imagine it must be very difficult to have left that situation where these three people are having to deal with this terrible situation.
Yeah, it's not generally the case because, Mum's always been so, happy with what I've achieved in my sporting achievements and my academic achievements. And she is quite open about telling me that, if it wasn't for me, she would find it very hard to carry on. And I guess my dad's illness has always made me want to achieve as much as I can. It's always given me that sort of focus to do the best that I can.
I like having a working hypothesis, as long as you keep remembering it's a hypothesis and might not be right. But my working hypothesis, having met him, was that he was a very depressed man, to the point of almost being retarded. And yet I warmed to him. I could see why the GP liked him. Very important that he'd collapsed at the point when things were really going well for him, when he went to Peru, and that he was very frightened that he'd collapse again after another success, actually, getting this academic post. And in my mind, that was very tied up with his history. He tried to make light of it, but actually, just as you're coming into adolescence, when you're 12, you're beginning to develop yourself, and your father collapses like that. I think this had a tremendous effect upon him, and so my that he was one of those people who unconsciously felt very guilty about being successful, being a man, being potent. Unconsciously guilty to the point of actually bringing himself down. And I thought he needed some insight into this. The transference, I thought, was very mixed. I think he was hoping to find in me probably the father that he had before the father became ill. A strong support, because I think he must have that in his history. He's done well in life. I think he must have had kind of parents who looked after him, decently and properly, and he's internalized them, and it served him well. So I think he was looking for that, based on that's transference. We tend to think if the patient doesn't like us, it's transference. If the patient likes us, it means that they've got they're a good judge of character. But actually, both are transference. I think he had some good internal people, and he was transferring them and looking onto me. But I thought he was also very wary, questioning. Is this guy, me, up to it, or is he going to really let me down? And I mean, one can understand that, but I thought they were both part of the transference. I think my major countertransference, which did inform my hypothesis, I was actually feeling rather paternal towards him. And I thought occasionally he'd sneak glances at me, and I thought he is hoping to find, like a father figure or a helpful figure. And he certainly engaged that part of me. I mean, I really wanted to help him. For all sorts of reasons, narcissistic reasons and everything else. But I think there was a transference, which I tried, obviously, not to act it out. I think it kind of influenced the rather gentle way I tried to talk to him. I was really trying to engage him because I genuinely wanted to help him.